start looking for something.
I will be introducing you, sir. And then
Okay.
invite you to the presentation.
So this you have a count there. It's increasing 54 now.
Yes. Just to know, we will have at least 75.
Yeah, maybe a couple of minutes if you hold.
Good evening, Samudray garu. Yeah, namaskaram andi. Yeah.
Good evening, sir. Good evening to all of you.
Yeah.
Good evening, Samudray garu. 56.
Good evening, Professor Ramesh Babu.
Hey, good evening, Professor GV. Yeah, think.
Good evening, sir. I am back again.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, good evening, Sundarajan. Yeah, good evening.
Yes.
So we couldn't hear you. I don't know what is the reason for that.
Sure. What happened? My computer just switched itself off. I again had to come back.
Oh, I see. Okay. So I think we will start the meeting. Good evening, everyone. And today's talk is by Mr. Ramaiah. I think he will be introduced by Srikanth from AMTDC. So I just want him to give an introduction to the speaker. Then we can start with the presentation by him. Okay.
Thank you, Professor. I request all the participants to keep their microphones muted. If you have to raise a question, you can raise your hand and let the speaker take up the question. So without much delay, so we extend our warm welcome to Shri Ramaiah sir, Wing Commander and former head Aero Services Center, Honeywell Technology Solution, to deliver his webinar talk on the title Mentoring Framework. Wing Commander Ramaiah graduated from NIT Kurukshetra with Bachelor's in Electrical Engineering and MTech in Computer Science from IIT Bombay. He served the Indian Air Force for 20 years and Honeywell Technology Solutions for 16 years. There, he was engaged in the avionics software development for the frontline fighter aircraft, and he was also primarily responsible for avionics control and guidance software for commercial aircrafts like Airbus 320, 340, and Boeing 787. He also established Aero Services Center at Hyderabad and grew the business to nearly $100 million US. He has set up several offshore development centers at Hyderabad and grew the team size to 230 associated, serving aerospace control and automation businesses. It is a pleasure, sir, to welcome you to deliver your webinar today. I invite you, sir, please.
Thank you for the introduction. And can you all see my presentation?
Yes, sir, we can see it.
Okay. So basically, the mentoring itself is not a very interesting topic to talk about. The process and the steps that are involved are really great. But to put it on a slides, it becomes a laundry list of items. You should have this, you should not have this, you should have this. So to start with, basically, when I was working for the Honeywell International in the aerospace division, my president, who's running a $12 billion business, he came back from one of the senior leadership meeting and informed us saying that, I requested Mr. Darius to be my mentor. My president is 63 years old at the time, and Mr. Darius, who is running another business of Honeywell, who was 47 years old that time. So that shows the strength of mentoring. So mentoring is a concept that it's not new. You know the relationship between Dronacharya and Arjuna. Arjuna is a very good mentee. In his formative years, he had a good mentor like Dronacharya. And Dronacharya, even though he has his son and other Kauravas, but his Priya Shishya was Arjuna. So look at the qualities that Arjuna had. Arjuna is a great mentee. In his later years, Krishna took him under his fold. And he was a great mentee again. So the accomplishments that what he had as Arjuna, so you can see that the strength of mentoring throughout his life. With that introduction, and with caveat saying that it's not going to be, I had to put, because I had to put that qualities that what is mentoring is all about, what is mentoring is not, and how do you differentiate between a mentoring, counseling, coaching, teaching, and all those kind of things, and what is mentoring is all about. And then we'll go into what is the roles and responsibility of a mentor. Then we'll talk about roles and responsibility of a mentee. And then we will talk about some process to start with. What is the initial process to start with? And then go ahead and dwell on during the engagement process. How are we going to take this mentoring to the successful culmination? In the process, I wanted to just say beforehand, we'll be using coaching, training, counseling, and mentoring interchangeably, because as you go along in the slides, you'll come to know that there are a lot of things, but there are subtle differences that we are going to highlight during the presentation while you are undergoing the mentoring process. Okay, and then going to the first slide, what is mentoring? It's a great relationship, and which encourages openness, trust, respect, and willingness to learn and share. It's both ways. It's not necessary that the mentor is an expert in the area. So when we're talking about mentoring here, it's not only just the subject matter or the career or anything, but it is the overall development in terms of progression. It can be a personal development, it can be behavioral aspect of it, it can be career, it can be. So the subject, when you're talking about mentoring, it will be defined with a clear objective saying that during the mentoring process, what is the outcome? So based on that, but some of the things that in the mentoring process, to help the mentee to understand more fully and learn more comprehensively from their day-to-day experiences. So when the organization is, how it runs, basically based on vision and strategies, and then you have your core values of the organization, and you define process, you define metrics, you define the rhythms of reviews and correction mechanisms, feedbacks. Then you have all those processes are there. But all the things that can be documented, but that's not the end of it. The way things happen has got a DNA of an organization, and it's got the culture of an organization. So those things are picked up by employees watching the company perform, watching his seniors perform, what his colleagues perform. So the day-to-day experiences, those experiences. So the mentoring, in the process of mentoring, the mentor would guide and nurture the mentee in the process of why the things are done the way they are done. What is the logic behind it? So every organization claims that it has got a wonderful DNA, but some of the companies become very successful, but not everybody does. It's an equal partnership between two-way active learning. It's not that it's only mentee who is learning from the mentor. For example, in an environment like a institute like IIT, if some people come back and join after 10 years to do their MTech or a PhD, their industry experience is a huge learning for the mentor itself. So it's not a one-way learning, it's a two-way learning. And the next one is, it is voluntary. When I say voluntary, it is not that some companies try to impose to have a mentor when you join. So we call it hand-holding, we call it mentoring, we call it nurturing. But it's a voluntary job. And generally, mostly in the industry, it is not done during the working hours. It's always after the working hours or before the working hours or over the weekends. Then. So typically, anything that we do, it has to be a goal-oriented. So without setting up a goal, if we don't know where we are going, any road takes you there. That's the basic principle, saying that it has to be goal-oriented. So at the end of identify the problem, identify an issue, and how are you going to fix it by creating scenarios where the mentor, based on his experience, his knowledge, his skills, his he would be able to nurture the mentee. It's a developmental, it is about enhancing the talent. To summarize what is mentoring, coaching and training are more directed towards career development, whereas mentoring targets both career as well as personal development. As you all aware that somebody's success is not based on his skills alone. His ability to work with multiple people, laterally, vertically. So those, how do you handle your this thing? So my boss used to tell me that, hey, take people who have attitude, who are willing to learn. The skills, we can train them in no time. So that personal development, making somebody a overall who fits into the organization structure and ability to work with the rest of the organization is what is all about personal development. So now that we talked about what is mentoring or what is not mentoring, supervising a work performance is not mentoring. So that's a job that he's the mentee's boss in the organization will take care of the supervision of the work performance. Neither assigning the job. Mentors do not fix performance problems. It's not a remedial mechanism. It is not a postmortem, or it is not somebody has failed in something and we are going to try to find out what is the reason. There are mechanisms in the organizations, in the society, to find that. Mentoring is not any of these, either supervision or assigning work or fixing performance issues or remedial actions. Okay, before I go to the next slide, If anybody has any questions, you can ask me now, or you can reserve your question till the end of the session. That freedom we have here. As I said, the boring part starts now. So it's a laundry list of items, basically benefits of mentoring for the mentee and the mentor. So mentee, we'll go through the mentee first, and then we'll go to the mentor, because mentee is going to get benefited more than the mentor. So the mentor is expected to be an expert in the area you are seeking mentorship from. He is going to guide you, nurture you, put you back on the path, give solutions in terms of guiding you to the right resources and taking you to the hand-holding you to make sure that whatever is the objective that you set forward, you are on the right path and you are successful in accomplishing your objectives. And then the mentee, this, whatever is the slides that I have presenting, this is applicable to an organization. So I have gone through multiple iterations of being a mentee as well as a mentor. So these slides are basically were made when we are going through the process of driving a mentee-mentor relationship. So understanding of the roles in the organization. So what are the role and what it does in the organization, and supporting environment in which success failure can be evaluated. So what is going to lead you to a success and what is going to lead you to a failure. So giving a prior warning in case if that. So basically we are not going to say that hey, if you do this design and if you put this kind of a thing, and your response time is not going to be so-and-so. So it's not, refresh it is not going to be 25 milliseconds. We are not going to tell that. What we are going to guide them is saying, did you look at the other alternatives? Have you seen an example like this working? Have you seen a paper where this particular chip is used for performing this job? Have you have this language has the functions that you're looking for? So those are the kind of things, and you're trying to help him in trying to say that based on your experience, because you as a mentor have gone through many cycles of this learning. So all that knowledge that you have accumulated over a period of time, you are going to suggest to him, asking him to go back, and at the end of it, ideally the mentee should come back and tell the mentor, yeah, I've taken your input and I've gone and studied this, and I don't think it will work. Based on this and this project and this project, it doesn't work. So what are the alternatives that you have? So make a table with all that, what works and what doesn't work. So come back with that thing. So that's the mentor will tell him. So you're guiding him to a proper fit and function and of the application of the project that you're trying to get. The next one is a powerful tool for gaining the competencies and professional experience. So when you're talking about competencies here related to the project, for example, he's doing an embedded systems application, or he's doing a safety critical application for a medical or an automotive or an aerospace applications. What are the competencies that you require in terms of the process selection, in terms of operating system selection, in terms of languages selection? In that process, he is going to read the microprocessors, their families, the companies and their families and their usage, and the past history, which aerospace company has used which of these, and they have been successful. And potential for increased visibility, like that's what I said, in the sense that this is not only doing that particular project and being successful in demonstrating, or a particular study and doing demonstration, but overall visibility of the domain. At this moment, the engineering students would not have a good understanding of the domain. That at the end of it, the university teaches you some skill set, but the domain, some examples of them I have gone through, but the domain in which you're going to work on, whether it is automotive or aerospace, or whether it is communications, or it is financial, insurance, whatever it is, based on your competencies. So he would have a good visibility of the work in that area. And it gives him some self-confidence, him or her, sorry, and recognition and satisfaction and empowerment. So this has to be inculcated from the college, because here he is free to do his way of doing things under the mentor guidance. When he goes and joins an organization has got its own restraints and constraints. The designers design the system, and system engineers write the specs. And as a software engineer, as a hardware engineer, you are going to design to somebody's specs. But if you have done from end to end, here is an opportunity for you for 3 months or 6 months. Conceive something, do entire thing yourself, or take help from somebody, but it's your own. That confidence that you get is a rewarding one, and it would enrich and it would encourage. First time you're being an engineer, you're a true engineer. Basically, you engineered a solution. Basically, you created something from scratch. That's the purpose of engineers. You're going to look at a physical problem, study the problem, draft a solution, implement the solution, and make it work and implement it. So that's your role. So the satisfaction that you get, it's a kick. It gives you more kick than a VAT 69. So, and then the organization process. So when I talk about organization processes, this is within the organization I'm talking about, not very specific to this batch of students. So you have, organization has a set of processes. So those processes, how do they help you to streamline and restrict you and put you on a path? For example, a process that we are also going to adapt is that whatever you're doing, you have to come back and report your work after every week. That's an organization process. So that is there everywhere. And then metrics and measurement system. So how does your work gets measured? That's an organization process. And that organization process collects the data from the entire organization. So at the senior management level, those couple of slides are only presented to show how is the organization performing. So what are those processes that you have to follow, and those kind of exposure you get as being a mentee to a mentor. Okay, so we talked about mentor, and now let's come to mentor. So here is an opportunity. The youngsters today have out-of-the-box thinking, and they would try to do everything and anything very fast. So, like I keep giving this example, like in the last 5 years, we have 22, latest count is 23 unicorns created in India. So those kind of things that are happening, those new ideas and there's new opportunities. His mentor got an opportunity. He's horizon was also increasing. And generally, a mentor is generally from the outside the organization. So mentor will have a good understanding of the. So one qualification statement here. His supervisor, the mentee supervisor, will not be a mentor, because mentee and mentor will have an open communication. So the mentee is going to discuss, we are going to talk about this in the communication part. He would not hesitate to tell his limitations to the mentor. So as part of the, because his supervisor is going to make an assessment of him at the end of the year. So the supervisor should not be a mentor. Ideally, it should not be a mentor. Recognition of mentors' development skills by higher management. So this is basically you as a mentor, you are trying to take credit for doing the mentee part. So the next point I said, the fresh perspective that the mentee comes with. So you have a good challenging discussions with him, and then of course, provided you open up and listen to him. For the mentor, don't challenge him, and at the same time, typically you ask him, okay, given, go to the next step. Go to the next step. Prove. Show it to me on the MATLAB that this algorithm will work. This design will work. Come back and show it to me. You know that it's not going to work. But at the same time, you challenge him saying that, show me in the MATLAB, simulate it on the MATLAB and show it to me back. Satisfaction, contribution to the mentee's development and success. It's always a pleasure for a teacher or for an individual saying that, hey, you're sharing your knowledge with somebody and he's improving. And your ability to, your experience, putting into practice and trying to guide other people. So that then at the end of it, it is the lasting legacy. So we keep talking after so many thousands of years, talking about Lord Krishna and Dhritarashtra. Sorry. Okay. Now coming to the desirable characters of effective mentors. So once again, a laundry list. He's self-confident in the subject that the mentee is taking mentorship from you, has knowledge and experience and expertise. So you are an expert in that area. You have a pretty good idea. But if there are some holes in your understanding in terms of, let's say, somebody, your mentee is designing a wireless gas meter. So from the central place at the end of the month, a pulse comes to trigger it to give out the reading. So, and that's the project. And then you don't have expertise in the gas area, but you have good expertise in the petroleum and other water and other measurement areas. So you have to brush up your own knowledge. The expectation is mentee would like to know from you. Either you guide him or you route him to the right person who has knowledge without wasting too much of time. So like what I said, he's an expert, maybe from the outside organization, industry expert or a consultant. That's what I said. It can be from the outside organization. And then giving a feedback and coaching. When you coach, you're going to give a feedback. So feedback should be direct, should be honest, because at the end of it, sugarcoating and hypocrisy is not going to help. You're wasting your time as well as the mentee's time. So, and then you will be able to adjust the teaching style of mentees. So some people want spoon feeding, some people want just give him the guidance. He would go and crack the thing. So ability to adjust to the commitment. So ability to take a commitment to the develop of the mentee, that's understood. Honest and professional. So that's given. So as part of the entire thing, we stress too much on the integrity in terms of your teaching integrity piece. Like we tell them that saying that, hey, integrity is one criteria where it's a binary value. It doesn't have fractional value. So whether your integrity, your score is 1 or 0. When you say 1, you say you don't cheat, you don't lie, you don't harm others. So like that, some of those things that it depends upon organization to organization, how much of value for the integrity is given in the organization. Interpersonally effective, good listener. Great thing about listener. It's we typical Indians basically are very bad listeners. We stop people talking. So our ability as a mentor should listen. Because somebody comes back and he has 5 sentences. When we stop him at 4th sentence, the mentee thinks that I have so much things to say, but the mentor stopped me. No, it's not true. So listen to him in full, and if required, make a note of it what your observations are, and communicate clearly both orally as well as in writing. Hey, what is the approach? What is wrong? What is right in this? And culturally aware. Like I talked about the culture and DNA, and some organizations tolerate some things. So each organization has got a culture of its own. It's not drafted, this is my culture, organization culture. Basically, over a period of time, the management and the leadership inculcates that culture. So he's aware of the culture of the organization and understanding the benefits for the overall organization by carrying out the mentor relationship. Mentees, so a lot of expectations for mentees. Flexible, willing to try new techniques, methods, behaviors. Self-examination assessment, able to take direction. For the first time, he's working on one-on-one with some very senior person. So far, in the institutes, these people are gone through one-way communication. They start in the class and they prepare and write in the exams. Here, when you're dealing with one-on-one with a very senior, experienced expert in that particular area, so that inhibition of exposing your lack of knowledge should not be an hindrance. So you are because mentor is not going to get associated with you for your assessment. So you should listen. You should question. When does these two things happen? When you have a trust in that person as a mentor, it's because whatever you're saying and whatever you're asking, whatever you're exposing your lack of knowledge, it is confidential. So you can build that trust. And feedback taking and coaching. So once again, my experience is we are very poor in taking feedback. We argue back saying that from my perspective, when I'm giving you feedback, please write it down and just go and work on it. Please put a plan. How do you correct that whatever has been given to you? So that's the kind of an expectation from the mentor to you. So you should take the feedback in the right spirit. What you think is right is not the right thing. And the hypocrisy part, just listen and wave your head all the directions and agree to the mentor, whatever he's saying. But when you come out of the room or when you come out of the call, you don't do anything. You don't follow up. That's a bad thing. And you should have a desire to learn and grow, culturally aware. So as I said, the culture of the organization, and your ability to express your ideas in a precise way, and your concerns, feelings, frustrations, needs. This is an opportunity for you. Yeah, I haven't understood this project at all. I don't know how to go about it. What is the value of this project? Question everything, question fundamentally, because your guide then can help you, and so that unless you own the problem yourself, unless your heart and soul is into the problem, you will not be able to contribute very effectively and finish the job in time. So expectations, the realistic expectations. A mentor is not a free person. He is doing his own work, his own classes, his own teaching, his own industry work, his own family side kind of things. He has his own commitments. So be realistic in expecting. Don't call him on the odd hours. Don't expect him to design the project on your behalf. So those don't have unreasonable expectations from him. So once you pick up the knowledge, your ability to pass on to your colleagues and others. And receiving mentoring is not an entitlement. Thanks to the Government of India and thanks to Professor Ramesh and his team, it is going out of the way to train the mentees. And the mentors voluntarily have taken up this mammoth task of taking mentees and trying to address them. So make best use of this. So I'll run quickly here now. I thought I would finish it in half an hour. I finished my 40 minutes. Of course, the crux is there, what I have covered. So here, transfer technical knowledge, experience, expertise, and product process technologies. It's very easy to say all this, but it's not going to happen in 3 months. Ask challenging questions, provide constructive feedback, use technical problems and product issues for teaching opportunities. Use your experience, that what you have gone through, what it is, and expand the horizon of the person in terms of just creating a technical product and successful product and demonstrable product is not good enough. It has to be competitive in the market. What is the competition for your product? How does a business takes place from the dollar spent to dollar earned? What is the transition that dollar goes through? So these are some of those things as part of the readings or some opportunities for him. Agree and follow through the commitments made to mentee. So availability and schedule. So once you have promised a weekly meeting for an hour, so please try to, as far as possible, try to stick to that. So identify opportunities for practice and apply the knowledge that he has gained. So wear multiple hats. You become a coach, you become a sponsor or a champion. Sometimes you become a teacher, you become a protector. So when I say protector, you make mistakes, but it's only confidential. So you don't lose your credibility as a mentee. We are not going to write you off. Be a counselor, a role model. So these are the hats that a mentee has to put on, depending upon the stage of the project and the situation, and depending upon the capabilities of the mentee. So set very clear objectives. As far as the mentee's responsibility, agree and follow through the commitments made to the mentor. accept feedback graciously, seek out feedback, communicate problems and issues clearly on a timely basis, openly discuss failures as well as success. Be honest and candid in your dealings with your mentor. So, for the first meeting, after this is the first meeting that you are having with your mentor, having face-to-face or on a video call. So the questions that the mentor is going to ask: what do you enjoy most about your current position? Where did you go to school and university? Where did you grow up? Where do you live? What are your hobbies? And how much of time you spent away from work? So these are some to get a good understanding of the mentee and his this thing. So then work out the goals of the project based on the expertise that he has got while he is undergoing through the college education. So set the goals very smart. We'll come to the smart. And then what is the goal that the goals have been worked together, both the mentor and mentee, and review the expectations and responsibilities very clearly, articulately. And it's not that it's written on the wall. So you can monitor based on what works well for you. And how do you want to document the work together? And what is the feedback mechanism? And are there any concerns when at the start of the project? Like other day when we had the meeting, people started asking already, so what is the project? And this area I have not worked. So the goals should be smart. So the goal should be specific in terms of you're going to accomplish this. It's measurable. You're going to write a document on this, or you're going to design a thing on this, which should work on this. And then the achievable in the given short time. Is the goal achievable? Is it relevant? So let's do something which is going to help him in the future. The relevant and the goal is timely. So these are the smart goals you are going to set for him. Establish working agreement. How often will you meet? What time and how long? How will you schedule our meeting? Who will take the responsibility? What happens if one of us need to cancel our meeting? Will we create a written agenda for each meeting? How can we measure the success of our mentoring relationship? What is our preference for communicating between our meetings? Confidentiality of conversation. If technology is to be discussed, as the export of this, we don't have to worry about the export of technologies. What is our next meeting? What is our agenda? What, if any, preparation required for our next meeting? Complete the charter and fill the sheets that are available on the shared drive. What Dr. Ramesh has described in the last meeting. For the meeting of a weekly meeting, you should come very well prepared to complete your work. So in this review meeting, ask the mentee what he has accomplished. Was it a successful event? What the challenges he has overcome? What did you learn? How can you apply what you learned going forward? Together review what was learned since the last meeting. What is working well? What is not working well? What do we need to get back on track? What do we need to do differently? What can I as a mentor help you? What do I as a mentee need to do? So these are the things that you're going to discuss. What need to be learned, discussed, worked on between now and the next meeting. Determine the most appropriate activity. Recap the session. So there is one fundamental thing. Any meeting that you are going to have, that meeting should have an agenda. And second point, stick to the agenda. Take action items from that agenda and monitor the progress of those action items in the next meeting. Then the last thing is anything new that is required to be added at the closure of the meeting, that points that are to be added to the action items. So these are the phases that we have. Basically, when you start, agree on the relationship, define the very clear learning objectives, put a mentoring plan. In the 3 months, first month I will do this. In this month, first 2 weeks I will do this. Second 2 weeks I will do this. Like that, you just have to put a plan. At the end of the 3 months, what are we going to accomplish? To accomplish that, break down that part into multiple entities. Suppose if you're trying to build a quick Raspberry-based application, so procurement of Raspberry, understanding the subject, getting the sensors, integrating the sensors, making it to work, and putting it on a breadboard and trying to demonstrate. So those kind of breakdown of the phases of your work. Phase 2 has the expectations been discussed and documented, have goals been discussed and documented, have the methods and frequency of communication, we talked about this. A mentoring charter has been completed. Has all the goals been completed? Phase 3. Both the mentor, so the phase 4, basically your closing process. Okay. With this, I'll close this, my talk. After that, I'll take the examples. This is one of the best example. So Socrates mentored Plato. Plato mentored Aristotle. Aristotle mentored Alexander the Great, who conquered the world. So based on the experience of those 3 philosophers, Alexander, only the Great is called Alexander the Great. So, and then another example, I just summarize, close this with another example. So somebody asked in a CNN program to Bill Gates, who is your mentor? Surprisingly, Bill Gates came back and said it's Warren Buffett. He learned so many things from him, even though both operate in a different spheres. Then he went on to explain what he learned for him for the next 15 minutes. So to conclude, the area that your mentoring is happening doesn't have to be there. Age is not a factor. My boss, who's 63 years old, was taking mentoring from a 47 years old. And my boss spent 45 years in aerospace engineering. The mentor had no exposure to aerospace. But still, there the capabilities that are required for the mentoring was not on aerospace, was more of cash flow. How do you maintain good cash flow? So the topic is important. So with that, I am open to questions.
Thank you, sir, for your powerful talk and also setting the path straight in the relationship for the mentor and mentee. I think I open the floor now for the questions. Please.
Sir, good evening. Sir, this is Pro Raju Durai. Sir, I thank you very much for your excellent speech. So whatever we have in mind, you have clearly poured out. Okay, so as a mentor, okay, now I have to play many different roles. Okay, excellently now you have reviewed. Only one point, okay, you are not stressed upon that. The integrity is very important. Okay, nowadays, okay, that is there. So the mentor should be of high degree of integrity and ethically also should be strong. So that should be inculcated in the minds of mentee. So that point, okay, I suggest that also in the future slide you can mention them. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Rajdar, basically I talked about the integrity.
Yeah.
Integrity is either 1 or 0.
Yeah.
As a country that we were in foreign occupation for hundreds and hundreds of years, we have a problem here.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. That's super, sir. Super. Very, very good start. Really, I thank you for taking pain and excellent, sir.
Thank you
very much.
Mentees, any questions? Please open up. I said, please do not hesitate to ask questions.
think it is the time to start developing your trust between the mentor. So yeah, please open up and then ask the question.
I think it's my experience also where when you give such a good seminar, the listeners, especially the mentees, ask very few questions. And hopefully, as time goes along, they'll be able to open up even more. But from a mentor point of view, again, as Ramaiah Kodandapalli sir, you have done a fantastic job summarizing the role of the mentor and the mentee. And as I mentioned the other day, the internship program is very unique. And these kind of webinars themselves add value to the student body, whether they are getting internship or not. And hopefully more people will use these kind of guidance in mentoring also, as much as in education and training. Very, very good. Very well done. Thank you so much for your
Thank you, Dr. Subbu.
experience and summarizing it.
Thank you, Dr. Subbu.
Yeah, I think
I am Balasubramaniam.
Yes, sir.
The talk was excellent. It was very, very useful to everybody, including I have noted so many points. I would like to understand, can we apply SWOT analysis as a part of this actually? Because we take this mentoring process as a impersonal thing actually.
Correct.
See, in the present scenario, what is happening, online meeting, everything is there. It is very difficult to understand the mentee and their personality. Is it not very important to understand their strengths, weaknesses, and of course, the opportunity and threats are explained already by the organizers? Will it not be good to introduce SWOT analysis as part of this process?
Absolutely. You're spot on, Balasubramaniam. So I was talking to my son in the morning.
Okay.
He finished his MS in Canada.
Uh-huh.
So he was appearing for interviews. So I asked him what is the standard question. He was gone for the technical rounds to the managerial rounds.
Okay.
So I was grooming him on the managerial round of questions. So I told him, what are your strengths and weaknesses? So he has listed 5 strengths. He says, I don't have any weaknesses. So our problem in Balasubramaniam Garu, we are, I'm sorry that we are more towards, we want to project a very positive image of ourselves. It's a human nature, you know.
Yes.
So if somebody comes with, as an organization, actually, when we put this program on, we ask him a 4-quadrant SWOT, what you said. We ask them to fill the form and come.
Okay.
So, and we ask them, it's not, we tell them also not about your skill set, but from your personality side, where you feel problems, in the sense you're unable to express yourself. Your body language is absolutely pathetic. You know, body language itself is a subject for 2 hours, you know. Somebody sits across in the interview, in the first minute, you decide that I'm not going to take this guy. Because the way he sits, the way he approaches, the way he sits in the table, and the way he crosses his legs and puts his hands on the table and doesn't shave and come. So, you know, all these kinds of things, the body language itself. How do you project a positive body language? That itself, it's not only the youngsters. I've seen some of the senior people also, very negative body language. So there can be phenomenal things in this area when you talk about SWOT, but people would not like to put weaknesses there. But I want to, even though in a railway compartment, sitting next to each other, you want to project a great image to your guy whom you don't know at all. Within 15 minutes, you have told all your story, your children, what they're doing, where you are born, where you are going. So that's what war we are. So we are not going to change that very quickly. Within that framework, how do we work, make sure that these people are successful?
Okay, thank you. It was very nice. I enjoyed your talk. But
Thank you,
always I had something in mind. I thought I will ask you actually. Good. Very nice.
Thank you. Now we'll put that slide next time. Activity saying that, hey, because these gangsters don't know what is SWOT. So we'll give them a table, say that this is the SWOT. So you have to fill. How to fill that, we can give guidelines to them.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir, may I add one more point, sir? Again, Professor Raju, sorry to again interrupt.
Yes, sure.
The weakness of the mentor is that we do not understand the generation gap. Okay, we always believe that we remember our good olden days, and we say, okay, the current generations are not understanding. Okay, so and we feel that we want to lift them up. It is not lifting them up. So we have to go down to the level and facilitate them to climb up. So rather than never we feel that okay, we want to lift them, and we need not talk them about okay our good old days. So now young generations are not good. So such a talk okay will not help. We should understand okay their own aspirations and the current generations mindset. So that is our weakness. Okay, I have seen a number of times. Okay, so we need not glorify our past. We have to accept the present reality, and then we have to act upon that. So we have to go closer to them, more friendly rather than godfatherly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So sorry to say that. So
no.
Yeah.
You brought a right point actually.
Yes, sir.
So
thank you, sir.
Our generation and just immediately next generation, we would never say no to anything. That creates so many problems when we are executing projects. Last moment, the customer comes back and say that, hey, I want this modification. So they wanted to look good in front of their eyes. He would say, yes, sir, we'll do it. No, that is changing with the young generation. So that's a good thing. That's a good street. They are the majority. They are the ones who are going to have a say. Who are we to tell them? So, and the person.
So our ages have gone. Okay, now their ages is coming in. So we have to accept the reality. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Ramaiah, I'm Ramesh Babu.
Yes, sir.
Anyhow, it's a wonderful presentation covering all the aspects. I know that there are many things that you can do it, but since we have fixed up only 1 hour for this particular webinar as a first webinar, I'm sure that these young boys also will pick up sooner. And then when you again come up with something else, either at the middle or at the end of the this internship or project period, I think the feedback may really work for all of us. In fact, we keep interacting, and probably we should have another session at the maybe after some time.
Sure.
So that's one thing. So second one is it's an opportunity for me to introduce some of the eminent people who have joined this meeting. Let me start with Mr. Tanga Jawahar Kalidas. Actually, he is a business head of TCS, and he has been a prime mover for many of our activities in the KITE platform. And in fact, the TCS is our knowledge partner, as I have been sharing it on weekly meetings. So let me just introduce him. Hello, Mr. Jawahar, if you are there, can you say hello, or can you just show up your face if you can? Hello? So that's one. And next one is Professor G. Venkatatnam. I think you might have heard his name in the beginning. We are all working together on this KITE platform. So G. Venkatatnam is also my colleague in the Department of Mechanical Engineering. Probably Professor GV can say hello to. Actually, we weekly once on Friday evening around 8 to 9:30, 10 o'clock sometimes. We used to deliberate on how do we really develop the skills among the youth and what measures. Actually, it started almost 3 to 4 months back, and the skill development and a variety of areas we deliberated, and finally we just came up with several ideas. And Professor GV, I think probably.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here, and thank you, sir, for a wonderful seminar. And it was also, a learning experience for me as a mentor. How do I behave as a mentor? Normally, as teachers, we are not really mentors, but sometimes we have to also, play the role of mentor to other people who don't work directly with us. So you have put in a very nice formal way of, how to handle this. A lot of things for me to take home. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the compliment.
Yeah, thank you. So I think others, Ramaiah Garu and others know Dr. Subbu, Dr. Navina, and Nanu and others.
Yeah,
I think
they've been participating in the previous session.
Yeah, so that way I think Dilip Kulkarni is again my classmate, and he has been an extensive speaker on dynamics, etc. I think Dilip, I think probably you can say hello to him.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. And Wing Commander, it was really fascinating and very nice to listen, because I also have a lot of industrial experience, about 30-35 years in corporate I have worked, and I could see that you have really hitting the head on the nail. And in fact, mentee and mentor relationship is very, very important. Unfortunately, in our industrial scenario, it is very hard to find an ideal mentee, or even the mentors are biased. So it's a real challenge for people like me to take up this role of mentor and bring up the students. In fact, I would like to get the presentation and once again read it and understand.
Yeah.
We'll be sharing the presentation and also this video of this talk shortly with everyone.
Yeah, at the end, I wanted to tell all the students and members that Nanu, I think he wants to ask something. So I just want.
So I think it's a great presentation, wonderful input on all the different aspects for mentors, mentees. Now, one little thing for mentees, which I thought I'll add, is when we talked about this SWOT analysis, the usual trick, since we don't have barriers between mentors, mentees, and we can talk our minds between mentors and mentees on this forum, one trick for this handling the weakness, when somebody asks you what your weakness is, you usually convert one of your strengths into your weakness. You kind of tell them, I can solve all the problems that are given to me, but I take a lot of time. So something which, so I'm just kind of augmenting the knowledge for mentees to pick up some way to convert a strength into a weakness. With that, I'd like to say thank you for the wonderful session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. So from next week, I think Dr. Subbu or Subramaniam from USA. So he'll be giving another webinar. So we have lined up a few webinars for the next 5 weeks. Probably, we will announce it well before Saturday, because this was decided, very late, and then we had to organize so many things with our students. And so from next time onwards, at least well in advance, at least 3 days in advance, we'll inform. And I think next week, I think Apparao said, he will give it. Apparao is another entrepreneur. So maybe week after next, Dr. Subbu. I think Apparao will be going to his field on 4th morning. So I think we will schedule these meetings well in advance and inform it to all the mentors as well as the mentees. So I think with this, once again, I thank Ramaiah Garu for his active participation in our conscious group to bring out something. And we are also working on several other things. Let us see that how they'll take up a shape. Let me tell you that he has also started an institute on avionics to train a large number of aerospace engineers. I understand from TK Mohan, a group captain, and also Ramaiah, that they have run that institute for a couple of years, and due to the pandemic, they had to stop their activities. I'm sure that they have a rich experience in the aerospace as well as the defense services, and with their disciplinary life over 20 years, I'm sure that they'll be extremely useful to the mentees in the long run. Thank you very much, sir, once again. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Ramesh, before we...
Navina wants to say something. I wanted to... Navina, I think it is your time.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to wish all the mentees great success in this program. I just want to leave with a positive note that you have excellent mentors, and this opportunity is very unique. Please participate actively, and wish you all very good success.
Thank you, Navina. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Ramesh, I just was saying, basically those people who are, projects are about electronic product with software on board. So I have gone through a lot of them, starting from strategic marketing to product development so the process that followed for a product, I have got good exposure. So if those group of people, I can give them some guidance subsequently.
Yeah. I think what we will do is from Monday onwards, our team will get in touch with the mentors to define the scope. But of course, the internals can be worked out by the mentors and the mentees, because we don't want to come in the way. We would only like to organize, the programs for making, the experts available to many. So, of course, all these webinars are also some sort of an experience for both the mentors as well as mentees, because they get to know each other, and if they wanted to know more about anything, they can directly contact them also over emails or WhatsApp, etc. So with this, once again, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
I think you have taken your time to talk to these mentees and mentors also. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Okay, very much. Thank
you, sir. Thank you all.
Everybody. Good night.
Thank you, Ramaiah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. So we will meet on the 28th.
Sure, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night, sir. Good night.
Bye. Good night, sir. Yeah. Right.